Hi, it's Simon here from Adelaide Walker. This is part 2 of our series of videos about spinning, and we'll talk today about spinning with a top whirl drop spindle, and this is the one I have here. What does top whirl mean? This round bit is the whirl, W-H-O-R-L, which I always say in a Dorset accent, and this is the shaft, just for purposes of naming things. So a top whirl, I think, is the easiest spindle to get used to when you're starting out. Not everybody will agree with that. You can get them at the bottom, and you can get what are called support spindles, and we're going to talk about that in one of the other videos. But I think if you're starting out, top whirl is the way to go. Now they come in all shapes and sizes and colours. You can see a few there. What difference does that make? Well, if you remember back to your GCSE physics, or if you're a bit old, your O-level physics. If you're very old, your school certificate physics. That's no offence, sorry, very old there. They come in different shapes and sizes, as I said, and the size in weight of the spindle will affect how it spins. So we're going to have a look now at a very light spindle and a very heavy spindle, just to see if we can see the difference of them spinning. Alright, so this spindle we've got here is very light, 13 grams it is. I don't know what that is in ounces, but no doubt you will know. And if I spin this, you'll see that it spins really quite quickly for not very long. Alright, I'm going to come back to why you might want that and why you might not want that. So that's my first demo. And this one is 43 grams, so it's more than 3 times the weight of the other one. And this one spins more slowly, but as you can see, for a considerable amount longer. Okay, right, so what difference does that make to you as a new spinner? Well, what you want to do when you're starting out is have something that spins for quite a long time, because that's going to be the thing that maybe catches you out. So I would suggest that you need a spindle between 35 and 45 grams. So the other thing that can make a difference, as well as the weight, is the size of the whirl. This first one that I showed you can see that's about 1 inch across. And this one, which comes from one of our kits, is about 3 inches across. So again, a wider, larger whirl will spin for longer than a smaller whirl. So back to your ideal spindle for starting out. You want one that's 35 to 45 gram and a decent size whirl. So I'd say that's a good size. That one, which is the same weight, I'd say is not quite big enough. It's not ideal for a beginner. So enough talking about different sizes and weights of spindles. Let's actually do some spinning. So I have here some white Jacob, which I've pre-drafted. If you remember from Angela's part 1, she talked about how you do that, and she also talked about how different fibres are easier or less easy to spin. White Jacob, I think, is a lovely one for someone less experienced. So what I'm going to do first off is just pull out a little bit at the end, just a thin strip like that, and I'm going to wrap that round the hook on the top of the spindle, and then just twist my spindle until I've got a bit of twist. There's no hard or fast rule in this, 1 inch or 2 above the hook, and you can see that's quite comfortably taking the weight now. So once I've done that, I've then got to do 2 things. I've got to do the drafting, which Angela talked about and I'm going to talk about as well, and I'm going to do the spinning, and I can do those in 2 separate ways, 2 separate parts. So first off, I'm going to spin it. Just spinning, not doing anything more clever than that. Now I've got some twist built up there, so I can park the spindle under my arm and then draft the fibre out, and then allow the twist to travel up. So when I let go, at the moment I'm holding it there, holding the fibre there, and I've got my drafting triangle between my 2 thumbs, between my 2 hands, and when I let go with this one, you will see, as if by magic, the twist will travel up. There we go. So then I can do that again. I'm going to spin, going to park, going to draft, going to let the spin travel up. There we go, as if by magic. And that's kind of a stress-free way of doing it when you're starting. You don't want to put too much spin, so just, I don't know, enough. If it starts kind of twisting back on itself, stop. Just that kind of level, draft out, let the spin travel up. Okay, and there we are. We've done, what, 6 inches of yarn there. Now, once I've got the hang of things, then I can do those things at the same time. I can spin, draft out, let it travel up, draft out, let that spin travel up. Okay, and again. And you can see that's building quite quickly. You can also see that I'm kind of twisting this periodically. I'm running out of fibre here as well. And this is why you need something that's going to twist for quite a period, because you're probably going to be spending a lot of time with your eyes up here on your drafting, and you've not realised that things have started spinning in the wrong direction. So that's why a heavier spindle will make life a bit easier for you. So at some point you're going to end up with quite a long length on your hook, between your fibre and your hook, and what we need to do at that point is take it off the hook and just wind it round the bottom of the spindle underneath the whirl, and that's called a cop, K-O-P. So wind it round until I've got I don't know, 6 inches or something, and then most of our spindles have got a little notch which sits immediately behind the hook. You might just be able to see it there, which just makes it a little bit easier to wrap the fibre back round the hook instead of it skidding around the edge of the spindle. And once I've done that, then I'm off again. There we go. So I said early on about different weights of spindles and why you might want one that's light and why you might want one that's heavy. Why do you want one that's light? We saw that the light one, the little light one, there it is, spun very quickly but not for very long. And if you're spinning a fibre that's very slippery, like silk for example, you need to get your twist in your fibre very quickly, otherwise it's all going to fall apart. So that's why you might want to use a small light spindle. Conversely, if you're working with a very heavy fibre, or if you're plying, and we've got another video coming on about that, then you might want something that's a bit chunkier, and also that will hold a larger amount of yarn, and that's why you might want a larger spindle. I think from talking to people over the last however many years, 6 or 7, about drop spindles, that it is one of the most subjective things, and you will find somebody that will never spin anything more than 15 grams and somebody that started off with a 90-gram spindle, I think that's the way to go. So it is a very personal thing, and what we always say to people on the stand at shows, and hopefully there'll be some more of those soon, is you should have one between 35 and 45 that's a good width, but if there's one that you really love that isn't quite in that, then that's the one that you should go for. So if you fancy having a go, we'd recommend 35 to 45 gram drop spindle top whirl for starters. We talked to a lot of people at shows, some of whom have had what's best described as bad experiences, I think, with spinning, in some cases because they've started with a very heavy drop spindle, or one that they just don't like, or a very light one, or whatever, and it has heartily put them off spinning. Hopefully not for life, because that would be a shame. So we do have a kit suitable for beginners. This is the 10th time I've tried to describe this on video, and I'm going to get it right this time. So this is our beginner's kit, which comes with one of these oak drop spindles, handmade in my garage in West Yorkshire, and 4 different types of fibres to spin. So from the top they are grey Jacob, which is a really easy fibre, and that's the one to start with, really easy fibre to spin. Then some white blue-faced Leicester, not blue white-faced Leicester, white blue-faced Leicester, which is again a really nice spin, a little bit silkier, a little bit of a nicer handle than the Jacob, and some Shetland Moorit, which is another easy one to spin. And then once you've mastered those 3, at the bottom there is a merino blend in various different colours. It does come with a set of instructions as well. The other thing which I'd say is, if you're having a go and learning to spin, don't do it for 2 hours getting more and more frustrated. Do it for 10 minutes and then maybe go and have a cup of tea or possibly something stronger, and then when you're feeling up to it again, go and have another go. Little and often is a better way of doing it. So that's the end of this particular video. We're going to talk in our next video about other different types of spindles. We'll talk about a bottom wheel spindle, which kind of looks like that, and we're going to talk about that, and supported spindles as well. So I hope you'll join us for those, and I hope you found this one really useful. Thanks very much. Bye for now.